And his opponent on the more, this is quite the matchup. He's on the more classical Teamer Aetherworks. Now, keep in mind, this is almost just the red-green build. There's no blue puzzle knots here. We'll see the blue cards out of the sideboard, and they're going to be great. But this is just both players putting their foot on the gas here.
Yep. And what you're going to see in game one here, Ellison does not have the Glassblower's puzzle knot, but he does have 4 Cathartic Reunion. So he has a little bit more dedicated combo than Tannon is. And I think in certainly game one, that's going to play to his advantage here, as both players are really just trying to get their Aetherworks Marvel online faster than the other player.
So Tannon on a 6-card hand is on the play, though. Will start with a Traverse the Ulfenwald, finds his second land, a basic Swamp. And I think you're kind of right here. The interactive cards that Tannon has gone into black mana for, I can't imagine will serve him well here.
Right, the Grasp of Darkness really aren't going to do much of anything in game one here. He has some good stuff out of the sideboard, but for now he's got to rely on just this plan of marveling before Ellison can marvel.
Both players attuning on turn 1. Ellison does it off of a Game Trail.
Correction, Ellison did attune, however, Tannon was on the Traverse, so Ellison does have the energy advantage. He's more in line to actually combo off here.
Oh, you're right, that is a Traverse from Tannon. He's playing 1 copy of Traverse the Ulfenwald.
Yeah, so his deck is fairly capable of setting up Delirium. That's kind of what he's trying to do, though seeing as the deck is very focused on activating Aetherworks Marvel, he would rather be casting a tune, certainly in this matchup more than others.
Ellison continues to make energy with a Servant of the Conduit on turn 2. 4 energy available for Ellison. You see that on the board. Tannon will grasp down the Servant, though, keeping Ellison fair on mana as we go back to Ellison's 3rd turn.
Sort of a funny thing about the Servant of the Conduit in this deck is it technically allows you to cast Aetherworks Marvel a turn earlier, but you really can't activate it faster, even still. At this point in time, Tannon might think that Ellison is just a creature-based energy deck, at which point the Grasp of Darkness is effective. He has to use it one way or the other, but it doesn't especially matter for the texture of this game.
Yeah, I'm a replacement Servant for Ellison, and Tannon will grasp it immediately. You're right, there's the red-green deck, the Electrostatic Pummeler deck. I believe every card Ellison has cast so far is something that you could see out of that deck?
Yeah, basically everything here. The Game Trail may be a little bit suspect. You see more Aether Hubs. They probably play a good number of copies of that anyway.
Puzzle Knot from Tannon, but here's Ellison going to play that turn 4 Marvel, immediately spend all 6 of his energy, and we'll see what does he find for his free spell. It is Ishkana Graph Widow. No Delirium on it, though. This is just going to be the 3/5 reach.
Yeah, not the most impressive Marvel we've seen here. Of course, these Aetherworks decks have been trimming to just Emrakul, and Ishkana is really about the second best you can do. Actually, a couple of copies of Chandra Flamecaller in the deck would have been better. This is pretty anemic, but he does have the Marvelworks on the table, so now it's a matter of just getting some energy back.
The hits here from Ellison: 4 Emrakul, 3 Ishkana Graph Widow, 2 Chandra Flamecaller, and then 1 copy of Chandra Torch of Defiance.
Yeah, honestly, a green puzzle knot would have been better than the Ishkana here, most likely.
Yeah.
Just for the ability to get enough energy to go off again.
Tannon is going to pass back. Now, he did in his hand have his own Marvel, but with only 4 energy in play, it looks like he's choosing to wait back on that green puzzle knot. And for Ellison, he's going to reload the Marvel. Plays a 5th land, plays a Woodweaver's puzzle knot of his own. That's going to be 3 when he casts it, and 3 more when he sacrifices it. 6 energy available again for Ellison Berryhill.
Yeah, once these decks get spinning, they're pretty good at resetting.
6 more cards. I think he's missed again. His best find looks to be a replacement puzzle knot.
Replacement puzzle knot, not the worst find. It lets him keep spinning, and Tannon has not demonstrated his own Marvel, though we do know it's in hand. But if Tannon's able to just crack this puzzle knot, untap, Marvel into Emrakul, things look very different.
Ellison, though, will look past the puzzle knot. He gets another copy of Servant of the Conduit. That's his 3rd copy. And he'll attack with Ishkana.
Tannon saves himself some ink on his pen by gaining 3 life as he takes 3 damage.
Yeah, more importantly, Tannon's up to 7 energy, and now it is his turn to Marvel. Goes down to 1. Top 6 cards. Can he do better? Ellison has missed twice. Tannon looks at top 6.
Not slamming anything. I think I spot a Noxious Gearhulk in the mix.
Yeah, looks like Noxious Gearhulk. He does have the option of another Marvel and another Puzzle Knot.
So Marvel is a legendary permanent, but if you find a second copy, it'll just bin itself and you get 2 energy for your trouble. So I like just getting the Gearhulk here.
Yeah, he'll cast the Noxious Gearhulk for free. It tears down the Ishkana. Ellison gets the energy off Ishkana dying. We go back. Ellison untaps 4 energy here. Can he get up to 6 again? A lot of his cards, just something like an Attune would work. 2 things hitting the graveyard would work for him as well.
Another Puzzle Knot in hand here, so this is pretty easy.
That'll certainly do it. So another Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot gets Ellison up to 7 energy. And the thing I'm noticing here is both players' life totals just going up so high because of Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. I feel like we really are just working toward first player to get Emrakul.
Yep. Frequently, Noxious Gearhulk is a very fast clock on its own, but in this matchup, the Puzzle Knots allow both players to gain so much life that that's just not going to matter. This is all about Emrakuls, and I suppose that the Chandras on Ellison's side do kind of matter.
Yeah, this is the 3rd activation of Marvel from Ellison Berryhill. He still has not found an Emrakul, but this one has found him the 6-mana Chandra. That's Chandra Flamecaller. So it's the 2nd biggest card in his deck. He'll cast it. But, you know, he's got to take care of this Gearhulk on the other side. Remember, the Gearhulk actually does have Menace, so...
And it can kill the Chandra in just 1 crack here.
Right. Ellison's going to cast the Chandra. It looks like he's put it to 5, so he's going to get 2 3/1s. And attack for 8. This will put Tannon down to just 18. I mean, pretty easy there.
Interesting alternative he had available. If he just plays the Chandra -4s, that would kill the Gearhulk for Tannon, but it would bin his Planeswalker and his Servant. That would net him 2 energy, which might be a concern of his.
Well, I suppose if the whole match is just about Emrakul, then that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's a match that's about chip shots.
So Gearhulk blocks the Servant. Tannon takes 6, goes to 22.
Of course, you know, the Gearhulk attacking the Chandra, that gets him an energy that way anyway.
Yeah.
It's kind of a wash.
I wonder if he has something like Harnessed Lightning, something in his hand that can protect Chandra. I feel like he'd want to do that if he can. But maybe not. Maybe Emrakul's the only card that matters.
Yeah, you kind of want to see maybe Tannon shows you some information. It's entirely possible that Tannon does not have access to enough energy to start activating his Marvel again. And even killing the Gearhulk and giving Tannon some energy that way might be downside.
Yeah, there's an attack and Chandra hits the graveyard. Ellison gets 1 energy for the trouble. And now I go back to Tannon. Can he make 6 more energy this turn? He plays a 6th land, so 1 Puzzle Knot would do it. Looks like he does not. He'll play a copy of Ishkana. Just Artifact instant in the graveyard. So just gets a 3/5, and Ellison, for the 4th time, he's going to reload the Marvel.
And the last card in Tannon's hand is Emrakul, the Promised End, which would be great if he could actually cast it, but he's very far off of that at this point.
And we have to look at Ellison's side. He's got Planeswalker, Sorcery, Artifact, Creature in the graveyard, and it looks like he's going to play land number 6. He's getting closer to actually casting the Promised End. Marvels for a 4th time, and Emrakul will not evade him this time. She comes down off the Aetherworks Marvel, and now Ellison will be in control.
She was bound to show up eventually, right? She promised.
Yeah, her name says it. Cathartic Reunion, a follow-up from Ellison, discarding land and sorcery. You know, he's getting, with the help of these, like I mentioned, he's getting very close to casting another Emrakul if he wanted to.
Tannon's turn, there's not a lot that Ellison will be able to do to kind of mess with what he's up to, though the Emrakul is a 2-turn clock, and that's what really matters here. And then on Tannon's side, he does have the Ishkana that theoretically, you could use that to get in front of Emrakul, soak up some damage that way, but Ellison's just going to attack this Ishkana right into his Emrakul. You see that Tannon's only card is an Emrakul of his own, hope to top deck a blank. If Tannon can find a puzzle knot here, a Woodweaver's puzzle knot, Tannon could just start activating his Marvel again, though he's going to need to get Emrakul to counteract Ellison's Emrakul here.
Yeah, so this is Tannon's first turn. Ellison's in control of it. He untaps, draws, and we have Liliana and Emrakul.
Yeah, so there's really nothing that Ellison can really cast that'll really sabotage Tannon. Theoretically, you could -2 the Chandra, get rid of some value that way, or the Liliana rather, and mostly this is just going to be attack Ishkana into Emrakul. That's about all he can do here, though Ellison is firmly in the driver's seat. He doesn't need to get too much out of this Mindslaver turn. And then Tannon really just needs to find Woodweaver's puzzle knot. That's kind of step one here. That's basically what he needs his top deck to be on this turn.
So Ellison's going to cast the Liliana. She has 3 energy, 3 loyalty. So many different counters.
Couple things to track in this standard format, yeah.
Looks like Ellison's going to -2 Liliana. Now he does not have to get anything back, and I don't think he will. Now, interestingly, he cannot eat the Gear Hulk on an attack. It does have menace, and Ellison can't double block.
Yeah, and the Ishkana, because of the reach, and also because Ellison's on 32, that's a creature he really wants to eat in combat anyway.
So Ishkana will attack, Emrakul will block. Yeah, and now Harness Lightning will shoot down the Gear Hulk. Now keep in mind, those Marvel triggers are not Maze, so even though, were they a May ability, Ellison, because he's in control of Tannon's turn, could just say, no energy. But as they're not, Tannon will put those counters on.
So unfortunately for Tannon, I suppose the way that the math plays out on how much energy he has, this isn't a number where it matters, but theoretically he might want to kill his own Liliana, which he just can't.
Yeah, I mean, he really wanted to land there. You see there's 6 card types in his graveyard. He has an Emrakul in hand, 6 lands in play. If he'd drawn a land there, he would be able to just cast this Emrakul. Now, you're right. So in 2 turns, he can get the Liliana to be dead, and that would be his 7th card type. So the Emrakul will be online. Right, if he pluses it here, either Ellison has to attack it, or he can -2 it next turn.
Yeah, and he is on 22, so the Emrakul attack would only bring him down to 9. So he will have a turn to kill his own Liliana. The question is, can Ellison activate his Marvel again?
Well, he's done so far the last 4 turns. Ellison has not. He has succeeded in activating Marvel every time.
Yeah, that's the only thing that his deck does. He's very focused on this goal, whereas Tannon, we saw him cast multiple Grasp of Darkness this game, which really just don't matter in this matchup.
And an attune with Ellison. Ellison puts him up to 4 energy. Finds a land and plays. Now, I think his last 2 cards are another Marvel and an Emrakul. So that actually should work, right? If he plays the 2nd Marvel. No, he only gets... Yeah, and then because you have 2 of the legends, one of them dies to the legend rule, and both of them see it hit the graveyard, so it is +2 energy.
Yep, exactly. I wouldn't be activating right away. I would just attack with Emrakul and most likely just leave that Marvel trigger up.
Yep, so here's the attack, and he's doing exactly that. Gets up to 6 energy, attacks with Emrakul. Tannon goes to 9. Now he will activate Marvel again.
Yeah, you definitely attack with Emrakul first because of the legend rule. You get this one untapped. I might have even sat on the activation depending on what Tannon's up to. It's pretty narrow, but let's say, for example, that Tannon has 2 the Slaughter.
So I'm interested here. Ellison knows that Tannon's last card is Emrakul. He's going to take Tannon's next turn, but I'm not sure that he even wanted to replace his Emrakul. Like, is this right? This gives Tannon 2 shots at drawing the extra land.
Yeah, there's not a lot that he can really do at the Mindslaver turn here.
So Tannon draws Servant to the Conduit. I suppose what he can do, he can +1 the Liliana so it can't kill itself.
True.
That would be pretty great. Yeah, because right now Tannon still cannot cast the Emrakul in his hand. Yeah, and Tannon's all too happy to be milled for 3 here and get his 7th card type. This guarantees that he'll cast his own Emrakul.
With the top deck of the Servant of the Conduit, Tannon had more options to potentially just activate the Marvel on his following turn. Though I imagine that the play for Ellison was just a plus to Liliana.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Ellison's going to do here. He's going to play Servant and kill it. And I think he's going to make sure he's going to spend all of Tannon's energy on a Marvel activation and then not play anything. So he plays Servant, Grasp of Darkness is it.
Yeah, so I like that he activated Aether Hub to remove an energy here. I really don't like that he cast the Servant of the Conduit. Playing it, killing it, that just didn't matter. He just gave Tannon 2 energy and used 2 of his mana.
Yeah, if he could have gotten up to 6 energy, that play would have been great because then he could activate Marvel
And just
miss.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He got up to 4. So now Tannon, and this was the biggest thing, by putting that Planeswalker in the graveyard, Tannon now on his 2nd turn is going to cast Emrakul. 6 mana, 7 card types in graveyard. That makes 13. And now this is Ellison's turn, played by Tannon. He draws a Vessel of Nascency. Now, there's another Emrakul waiting. You see, Ellison has 6 card types in graveyard and 7 lands in play. So that Emrakul in Ellison's hand is live as well. So this is Ellison's first turn. Tannon Grace is in control of it.
So Tannon can run Ellison out of Emrakul's, cast the second one, eat that one to the Legend Rule, attack the first into Tannon's, just have them both die in combat. Looks like he's electing for a different plan, though.
Yeah, he's going to play and sacrifice Vessel of Nascency. Remember, with Vessel, I do not believe you have to take one.
Right, it's just 4 cards. It's not searching for any... it does reference specific card types, but it's revealed information?
It's
oh,
may.
it is a May. Okay.
Right, so you can look at those top 4. He does not have to give Ellison any of them.
I like not taking anything, then.
You're right, so there's an Emrakul in Ellison's hand, 1 in play, 1 in the yard. There's only 4 in the deck. You're thinking there's a chance Tannon could just run him out of them?
Yeah, and I really didn't like when Ellison activated the Marvel so proactively and spent an Emrakul in the previous turn.
It didn't do much. It actually kind of drew Tannon an extra card.
Right.
Now, if he leaves the energy there, Tannon's going to spend it.
Yeah, given that Tannon did get up to Emrakul, but if we back up even more, he could have plus the Liliana, potentially not been in this situation at all.
Emrakul attacks, they trade. Tannon still is in trouble, though. That puts him to 5 energy, but 5 is not 6. So Ellison gets another turn here. This is his regular turn. He's in control of it. He draws. He's got the mana for Emrakul. He's going to cast it.
Dueling Emrakuls.
And there she is. It's the promised end. And we go to Tannon's turn. Draws an attune with the Aether.
All right, so this is great here. He can cast one of these spells, use the Aether Hub to spend an energy, spin the Marvel, find nothing.
Yeah, that seems great. I don't think you want to cast the other one here. I like your spending energy for nothing with Aether Hub, though.
Yep. I also like just not even finding a basic land with his attune with the Aether.
Yeah, with search effects, you don't have to find the card. No guarantee you have one in your deck, so. And that's what he'll do. He will not give Tannon a card. Then he's activating Aetherworks Marvel. So this is Tannon's turn being played by Ellison.
I believe there's a question here whether he has to show Tannon the cards that he sees here. Pretty minor thing.
Yeah, he's going to choose to cast none of them.
And 2 Emrakuls going to the bottom here. That is significant. Really the only way for Tannon to interact with Emrakul is Emrakuls of his own. There's no 2 of the Slaughters in this deck. Nothing like a sorcery speed removal spell that could deal with it.
So Ellison did not spend that last energy. Tannon drew a tune. He could only get up to 5 energy that turn, though, so we're on to game 2. Ellison Berryhill takes the first.
And that's really how I expected game 1 to go. Ellison is just way more committed to comboing off. We saw Tannon draw multiple Grasp of Darkness. Those really just didn't matter at all. The Servant of the Conduit had already made energy before it went to the graveyard.
Well, it just seems like none of these cards matter. You know, Ellison had Chandra Flamecallers, which is a really large payoff in its own right, and I didn't even see that card mattering. It's
all about Emrakul.
It's all about Emrakul, at least for game 1s. So we're going to look over at the sideboards. Let's start with Tannon Grace, his green-black Aetherworks deck. You mentioned that there's a lot of good stuff he has here for this matchup.
Yeah, his sideboard is pretty excellent here. The full list: 3 Transgress the Mind, 3 Tireless Tracker, 2 Flaying Tendrils, 2 Natural State, a Pick the Brain, a Lost Legacy, a 2 the Slaughter, a Kalitas Trader of Get, and a World Breaker. Big finds here: the 3 Transgress the Mind, keep Ellison off of his marbles, or even just an Emrakul that he draws naturally. Pick the Brain for the same reason. Lost Legacy can't name Marvel, but it can name Emrakul, and that's all that matters.
So yeah, you get all the Emrakuls out of your opponent's deck. That seems excellent. Natural State blows up Marvels, which I assume you are into in this matchup.
Natural State, doesn't that stop at CMC3?
You're right. Okay, so you can't.
So I wouldn't
you're right.
bring
You
that
can't hit
one
Marvels
in.
on it. Okay.
2 the Slaughter is okay. It kills Emrakul. And then World Breaker's a maybe. It's another find, and it could blow up a Marvel.
Yeah, some of those transgresses will be great, but he'll need some good sideboard cards because, I mentioned with Ellison's deck, he actually has access to blue cards out of the sideboard.
Yeah, so on Ellison's side, 4 Tireless Tracker, 4 Galvanic Bombardment, 2 Natural State, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, an Island, a Chandra Flamecaller, and a World Breaker. So yeah, the Island, the Ceremonious Rejection, you really have to bring them in. They can counter both the Marvel and the Emrakul. And you could even, in a pinch situation, counter a Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. Those are certainly coming in here. That's really about all he has. I think that the World Breaker is a little bit more valuable on Ellison's side because he has less stuff to actually prevent a Marvel from ever entering, though both players are probably bringing that spell in.
All right, so we're going to get ready for game number 2 here. For those of you just joining us, we're going to be here all day covering 9 full rounds of Standard. Now, you can follow us on SCG Live or join us in the feature match area over at twitch.tv. So we have our Twitch subscription program. There's, of course, just for only $4.99 a month, you get your custom emoticons and badges, and you get to pick which matches we watch during the top 8 in our elimination rounds tomorrow. So come join us. We'll be here all weekend. Come join the conversation, twitch.tv/SCG Live.
And I think that post sideboard here, Tannon is going to be slightly favored. He gets to upgrade his interaction, and Ellison's really just still trying to combo off. So I like being the control deck against the combo deck.
Now for Tannon Grace, you mentioned he's a Hearthstone caster. The member of Team Next Ridge Nexus from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, has an open top 8 to his name as well. Quite the personality here. What I did not know about him also was a state champion golf player in high school.
Golf's something that I always kind of wished I was good at, but I don't have the time or patience for.
Yeah, you know, I made a push at trying to get out golfing this year, and boy, if you think Magic can be frustrating, I'm just to tell you that it's worse. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I don't know why the ball doesn't go in the air, okay?
We did a show after your golfing outing, and I didn't realize that a person could be so physically exerted from that activity.
It's the kind of thing I just hit it into the ground a bunch until finally I start changing. Like, fine, well, if I'm going to hit it into the ground, then I'm going to aim it this way. And then, of course, you hit a really nice shot, and then it just goes past everything. And it's horrible. It's horrible.
Are you a walker, or do you rent a golf cart?
I walk.
Still young and spry.
Still. Well, see, for a golf cart to make sense, you have to hit the ball really far.
Sure.
You know, enough to like if you're only hitting it like 40 or 50 yards a shot because you're terrible, then what's the point of a cart? You know, you just got to walk to it.
It's pretty inefficient to keep starting it and stopping it.
That's exactly.
That's a fair point. Also, the golf cart can't go into the woods or the ponds.
Right. There's a lot of play. Yeah. It really doesn't make sense.
I'm just not the target market for that.
Mulligan here on Ellison Berryhill's side. Now, it doesn't mulligans seem like they would be easily forgiven in this kind of matchup. If you can get to 4 mana with 6 energy, I'm not sure how much the rest of these players' hands are going to matter.
Yeah, really it's all just about having tools to dig to the Marvel, ways to make energy, and Ellison's deck just only does these 2 things.
All right, turn 1, a tune from Tannon Grace. Off Blossoming Marsh, so he does have his black mana set up. No Transgress, though, in the opener, just Noxious Gearhulk when it came to black cards.
Yeah, and it's totally reasonable for Tannon to just keep a hand that's good at comboing, so I imagine if there's no interaction, that's what he's up to.
Well, no Transgress, but he does pick up one sideboard copy of Pick the Brain. He will play Vessel of Nascency, and a second attune goes up to 4 energy. So far, things seem to be working out. He's getting up to that 6 required energy, making his land drops. Now the question is whether or not he has the turn 4 Marvel.
And if Tannon were on the draw, there would be a lot of pressure to just cast this Pick the Brain on turn 3. Given that he's on the play and has Vessel of Nascency, I wouldn't be surprised to just see him crack the Vessel and Pick the Brain on his turn 4.
Yeah, so when you're looking at this, because the only card they really want to be hitting with Pick the Brain is Aetherworks Marvel, there's no reason, hold on there, for him to not cast it right away, unless Ellison has mana acceleration. And Ellison does, playing a turn 2 Servant of the Conduit.
Yeah, now that the Marvel could just come down on turn 3, that changes the equation entirely.
Yeah, so he wants to dodge that turn 3 Marvel. There's an Aether Hub. It looks like Tannon Grace's hand. 2 lands, Aether Hub, Pick the Brain. He's going to crack Vessel here. 4 cards, Servant, Vessel, Forest, Emrakul. Surprised to not see him go for the discard here. I guess even if Ellison has the turn 4 Marvel, it's not like he can activate it.
Right. Ellison did mulligan. Perhaps Tannon is just betting against him having it. He hasn't cast any way to dig for it yet.
And Tannon actually selects Vessel off Vessel. Not really happy with the first 4 cards. I suppose no Marvel in it, so he'll try again next turn. You see he recasts the Vessel that he found and then says go. So a turn here from Ellison Berryhill.
Well, no one told him that he couldn't wish for more wishes.
I do like that. You know, it's like pondering for a ponder.
It's an above-average ponder, to be entirely honest.
And some good and bad news here. Ellison did have the Marvel.
Ooh.
Interesting. So he could have played the Marvel right there, but has chose instead to go Tireless Tracker Island.
So this suggests to me that Ellison is sitting on a ceremonious rejection.
Oh, that's huge.
So what Tannon cares about is just picking the brain to get that Marvel out of the hand.
And that's what he's going to do. Cast Pick the Brain. You cannot ceremoniously reject that. So, and you're right, Berryhill. Rejection, Marvel, Emrakul, and Servant. Now, I have a bigger one here. Tannon has Delirium right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that second clause, if he takes Emrakul, he gets all the Emrakuls in Ellison's deck.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if you're looking at Emrakul or looking at Aetherworks Marvel. When you remove the Emrakul, the fines are so much worse.
You know, I want to go back to Tannon's last turn, and I have to apologize for him here. We were saying why he needs to play that turn 3 Pick the Brain and hit a Marvel. I forgot about the Delirium clause on this. This is so much better right now.
Yeah, and if the Servant of the Conduit wasn't part of the equation, I think that clear-cut the decision was correct. He could have been punished if Ellison just cast that Marvel here, though he was going for the Emrakul anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if Ellison casts Marvel and then Tannon says, okay, pick the brain your Emrakuls, I think that's still a win for Tannon.
Right. It had to be in the hand. The Marvel is still a problem from here, to be fair.
Well, Ellison will have to play a much fairer Teamer Aetherworks game with Tireless Tracker. Now, to Ellison's credit, he's got 5 power in play. He's got Ceremonious Rejection in his hand. He could just have a classic win.
Yeah, and with that rejection, it's going to be a lot harder for Tannon to get anything going. He's still live casting something like Ishkana, trying to play an honest game of Magic, which is what his build does a little bit better than Ellison's, though currently Ellison has the lead in that respect.
Interesting to see how Ellison wants to play. He drew a second copy of Aetherworks Marvel. So his hand has 2 Marvels, a Servant, and a Ceremonious Rejection. He goes toward his 2 Forests. Is it a Clue? Is it a second Servant? He's going to crack Clue, draw a card, draws a 3rd Marvel.
That's not ideal.
Swings, though, for 6. That seems fine. Tannon goes to 14.
Yeah, I like that he dug for the land there. The game plan really is to just attack with Tireless Tracker and drive that home. Fair assumption that Tannon has just removed all of his Grasp of Darkness from his deck.
Some pretty interesting stuff, though. If you're going to try to race, here's a possible problem. Tannon's draw for the turn, Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. 3 energy, and more importantly, gain 3.
Yeah, this is really the tool that the red-green, the Teamer Aetherworks deck has against aggressive decks. It has this ability to gain this life. Tannon's deck, you can start getting to 6 mana, casting Noxious Gearhulk. That really changes the texture of this game. Despite the fact that the card looks like maybe it's colorless, it is just a black spell.
Game Trail, the draw for Ellison. He'll play it. It's tapped, but he gets a clue. A swing here. Just for 6, Tannon down to 11. Second Servant of the Conduit for Ellison, up to 3 energy. Passes. Tannon gains 3 life, back to 14, up to now 10 energy.
And given that Ellison already made his land drop this turn, that's why it would make sense that he cracked the clue previously on the last turn, not on this turn. He already has that element to restock on clues and what have you.
Aether Hub, and while it's an artifact, Noxious Gearhulk cannot be ceremoniously rejected. Gearhulk will just kill Tireless Tracker. Tannon gains life off it. There was a 5/4 on death.
Yeah, and now Tannon is pulled ahead in the fair magic element. Though Ellison, with all these Aetherworks marvels in hand, he can just start casting them, generating some energy that way. So Ellison likely wants to navigate this so he can cast Marvel and to continue to leave up that ceremonious rejection. I assume that that's going to be his plan here. Unfortunately, if he doesn't have a land, that means using an energy to use Servant of the Conduit mana.
Well, Tannon can just go this classic route, right, of vesseling into Ishkana and just start being a green-black Delirium deck.
Mm-hmm. And that's really the draw to playing this particular build of the deck.
And I'm starting to see why Tannon and his Next Ridge Nexus like this build. One of the weaknesses of Teamer Aetherworks is that a card like Ceremonious Rejection is so good against it. It's much harder to hate out Tannon's build.
Right. Though, to be fair, both decks have this Ishkana kind of plan. Ellison does still have copies of Chandra that he can cast.
I think it's like Noxious Gearhulk in particular. I'm thinking looks really impressive right now.
Right.
So the play for Ellison was that he did land a Marvel. However, only 3 energy in play. Tannon swings for his first attack. It's going to be Noxious Gearhulk in. It has Menace. I wonder if Ellison double blocks, everything will trade. He'll go to 5 energy. Remember, there's no Emrakul's in Ellison's deck. Tannon took care of those.
Right. Something that you want to keep in mind for Ellison, the 2 big hits in the deck, Emrakul, the Promised End, that's been exiled. That won't be a factor in this game. Ishkana, Graph Widow, but Ellison's graveyard is exactly Tireless Tracker. He's not Delirious.
Yeah, Tannon goes for Aetherworks Marvel. Ellison will ceremoniously reject it. Tannon plays out a Servant of the Conduit. 2 more energy. He's up to 13 energy, more than I think he'll ever be able to use. And they pass. We go to Berryhill. But how does he win from here? He'll play Aether Hub. He does have a Chandra Flamecaller in hand. Can cast it.
I kind of like going for the Chandra, leaving back the Servants to double block the Noxious Gearhulk and trying to play the game that way.
Well, you can't cast the Chandra without one of those Servants.
Oh, right. He's only on 5 lands.
He's only on 5 lands. So he may, if he plays this Chandra, I think he just has to -4 her. Everything dies. He'll get a bunch of energy.
That would, so he would have to spend an energy to cast the Chandra. He would get 3 back with a -4, but he would still be at 5.
Not quite, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's the plan he's on. And I like this move. Once he's decided that's his line, he's going to first attack with Servant of the Conduit.
Yep.
That's 2 free damage. Now he plays Chandra, but you're right. He did have to spend an energy. He -4s it. Everything dies. Ellison up to 5, but as you said, not 6 energy.
Mm-hmm. So now Ellison's graveyard, he has Planeswalker instant creature, still off of a 4th card type, making even casting Marvel and starting to activate that. Finding Ishkan is just a 3/5 yet.
Well, he has, you said Planeswalker instant and creature?
Yep.
Well, he cast the second Marvel. That puts Artifact in there.
Yeah, yes, you're right. You're right.
Tannon will crack the Vessel, finds a copy of World Breaker. Puts that in hand. Now, Tannon just doing his best job of being a Delirium deck. Plays Evolving Wilds, says go, gets a basic. His last 2 cards in hand are just a pair of Eldrazi. He has the World Breaker and Emrakul.
World Breaker is great in some spots in this kind of matchup, though given that Ellison just has 2 backup Marvels here,
yeah,
it's a little less good.
15 minutes remaining in the round for the players. This could become an issue if Tannon forces a 3rd game. Vessel for Ellison. Sacrifices Vessel. That puts him up to the critical 6th energy.
And also the critical 4th card type in his graveyard, as Enchantment was previously missing.
Nice. So, land, Servant of the Conduit, and Chandra Torch of Defiance. He'll take the Planeswalker. Still 2 lands remaining. His hand, a pair of Aetherworks Marvels. Tannon does not know about either of them. So there's his 4th card type. So now an Ishkana will do some work. But he's got to hurry up because Emrakul, her end was promised and it's coming. Top 6 cards, Ellison finds his best hit. It's Ishkana Graph Widow. She'll bring along 3 1/2 spiders, but will it be enough? Tannon Gray's still at a very healthy 15. Now, one thing I do like here, even though it's a Teamer Aetherworks deck, because of the card Aether Hub, Ellison is able to activate the Ishkana's ability.
Yep, the Aether Hub, or if he had a Server and a Conduit in play. A couple ways to activate the spider.
All right, back to Tannon Grace. His hand going into the turn was World Breaker and Emrakul. 6 lands in play. I don't believe he has 6 card types, though, in the graveyard.
7 lands in play, so he could just cast the World Breaker, which does blunt the aggression of Ellison. He can just get in the way of Ishkana if that were to attack. Card he picked up was Lost Legacy. That doesn't matter a ton here with Emrakul already exiled and Ishkana already in play.
So World Breaker will be the cast from Tannon Grace. It's going to attempt to exile Aetherworks Marvel. In response, Ellison will crack a clue, get an energy, draw a card. Now the Marvel's exiled. So he has artifact, creature, land, sorcery.
And with that
and
Marvel,
one more, yeah. So
with that Marvel exiled and Ellison down to just 1 energy, he has to both commit a Marvel and find a way to get 5 more energy to really be up to anything. This World Breaker is currently the most threatening thing on the table. Ellison 2 mana away from activating Ishkana.
5 card types in Tannon's graveyard. So he is 1 mana short, or 1 card type short right now, of casting the Promised End.
Yeah, won't take too long for that one.
Ellison, a lot of different options in his hand. Chandra, Harness Lightning, 2 more Aetherworks Marvels. He is up a game, having won the first pre-board game. He will attack with the team. Doing this before playing Marvel.
Yeah, he's trying to suggest that he has a second Ishkana in hand, maybe trick Tannon into blocking a spider token, push across 5 points of damage. I like it.
That.
It's scrappy.
And it works. A spider token goes down, Tannon goes to 10. Well played by Ellison Berryhill. Then post-combat, he's going to dump other cards. He just has to decide between Chandra and Marvel. He's just going to go with Marvel and then cast Vessel.
Other thing about this line is if Tannon blocks with the World Breaker on Ishkana, the Chandra will be able to finish off the World Breaker for now.
Oh, okay. Lost Legacy, the play from Tannon. Names Chandra Torch of Defiance. Fair enough. He knew it was there. It's not the draw Tannon wanted, though. He would have much preferred to have an untapped land.
Right. Also would have been really nice for Tannon to pick up, like, Transgress the Mine and lead. He did, of course, just hit off of Lost Legacy in the first place, but...
Yeah, and I remember Ellison will get to redraw.
Though the powerful cards in his deck are getting lower in count all the time, and it's not because he's drawing them or because he has them in play. It's because Tannon's exiling them.
Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot was the replacement card. I actually think Tannon improved Ellison's hand.
Yeah, that Puzzle Knot just sets up the Marvel on the following turn. The number of good hits on it, they are dwindling, though.
Well, one more Ishkana, if Ellison can find it, would mean enough spiders that I think Tannon has to be concerned with being drained out.
Yeah, he is on 10. And he only has one creature on the battlefield, so he can just lose in combat to stuff like that as well.
Here's Marvel from Berryhill. And, you know, it wasn't a bluff. We're looking at Ellison's hand last turn. Well, it was last turn, but it isn't anymore. He has drawn another Ishkana for the turn.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. Here's Harnessed Lightning for 7. I love it. Swing for 5. Tannon's down to 5.
Really impressed by the way that Ellison is navigating here. He's playing a dedicated combo deck, but he recognized that he is just the aggressor in this head-to-head matchup and giving it his all to beat down.
And for Tannon Grace, he on the last turn draws the land he needs, but it's a Blossoming Marsh. That one is land number 8, is not going to come into play untapped, so he shows his hand of that land 8 and 2 copies of Emrakul. That's game and match for Ellison Berryhill.
Yeah, really well navigated by Ellison there. Congratulations to him picking up first win, hopefully of many on the weekend.